Today we're playing a combo deck based around Reaping the Graves and Songs of the Damned. It's called Cycle Storm and it's my favorite Pauper deck. Let's go check it out. This is Pauper Cycle Storm. The idea is that you would like to leverage cycling creatures like Imposing Vantasaur, Monstrous Carabid, or the best one, Street Wraith, to get them to your graveyard. After that, you want to play mana spells like Dark Ritual or Cabal Ritual, or a primary card in this deck, Songs of the Damned, that makes 1 black for each creature in your graveyard. From there, you would like to cast Reaping the Graves and return those creatures to your hand. And now you could cycle those creatures and draw more cards. That's your Storm engine. Eventually, you'll play another copy of Songs of the Damned, and then play a Drannith Stinger. From there, you can cycle a whole bunch of more creatures, and then ping your opponent for lethal. That's the idea. That's Pauper Cycle Storm, and it's my favorite deck in the whole format. So over the course of the last 2 months, in fact, the last video I recorded was 2 months ago. You can find that one in the card above, where I returned Repository Scob to the deck. And if you're unfamiliar, this zombie is 3 and a blue. It has exploit, so you can sacrifice itself or another creature, and then return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. That card made a return, and I went 5-0 undefeated. That Sunday after, my kid was taking a nap, I decided to play my favorite Pauper deck in a league, went 5-0. Recently, I did a tutoring session on Cycle Storm where, you guessed it, we went 5-0. So in today's video, we have the chance to go 20-0 undefeated with this deck. Can we make it happen? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. So stick around. Hopefully you enjoy the matches. If you do, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of this Storm deck in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the first round. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop, or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Match number 1, we are on the play with Cycle Storm. Keep. So we have creatures that we can cycle. We have rituals like Songs of the Damned and Cabal Ritual. There's a lot to like here. We'll play the Vault of Whispers and pass. Ideally, we would cycle into another land, and then next turn we cycle into like a Reaping the Graves or something like that. So let's put this Horror of the Broken Land straight to the graveyard. We draw a Repository Scob. We did not hit a land, so we will cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands and pass the turn. So the Dark Ritual was a fine draw. It was not awful. And it looks like we're facing burn here. So we'll eat a Lightning Bolt to the face. So the question is, are they mono red or are they Rakdos? Ooh, not burn. Okay. So they might be like Boros Bully or something like that. Let's cycle Imposing Vantasaur. We failed. So now I'll discard the Blood Celebrant. By discarding Blood Celebrant, I'm secretly putting another creature to my graveyard, which helps with this Songs of the Damned. They play a Synthesizer. So a lot of these Boros decks do run 4 main deck Relic of Progenitus, which is a concern. 2 mana here. They play a Lembas. Alright, I think that there's a chance that I would like to try to win this turn. Because if I pass, I could get blown out by a Relic, and I don't want that to happen. So we'll play the Dark Ritual, cycle a Healer. So that's 6 cards to the graveyard. We hit a Lotus Petal. So now that's 7. I'll float a blue. And I can now play Cabal Ritual. And I can now Rowan's Grim Search, which will put, hopefully, creatures to the graveyard for this Songs of the Damned. 3 lands and a Street Wraith. Those can all go to the graveyard. We hit another Vantasaur and a Lotus Petal. Okay. So we'll cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. And now we'll play Songs of the Damned. And we'll cycle another Reaping the Graves, cycle the Imposing Vantasaur, Stinger, cycle the Stinger, Barrenmore. So now I'll play the Repository Scob, and we will return the Songs of the Damned, sacrificing the Repository Scob, get that Songs of the Damned back. And now we'll play it for 11 mana, cycle the Barrenmore, play a Lotus Petal, and we'll Reaping the Graves, returning the Repository Scob first, because the way that it works is that first copy will resolve last. And a general rule is that you want to return Street Wraith first because it doesn't cycle for mana, it cycles for life. And that helps being able to get deeper into your library. Okay, and then with the second to last one, I'll return the Blood Celebrant because that is a card we would like back. So 7 mana floating. We'd like to hit another Songs of the Damned or Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, that sort of thing. Cabal Ritual was a good draw. Now we have 9 mana, keep cycling. And it's all often asked in my videos, Bryant, why do you cycle with all of these copies of Reaping the Grave still on the stack? And it's a fair question. The answer is you could return all of the creatures from your graveyard to your hand. That's something you're allowed to do. But what happens if you draw a Songs of the Damned? You then have a bunch of creatures that are in your hand. But if you do this, they all remain in the graveyard, and your Songs of the Damned makes more mana. And I am all about trying to make more mana. All right, so now we're down to 5 mana floating. And I could return 5 creatures here. So let's count our creatures. We're at 15. So if I play Repository Scob right now, I would make 10 mana. I'll return 1 more creature and then cycle. Okay, we missed. So I'm going to allow all of this to happen. And then I will sacrifice Petal for a blue, play the Repository Scob, which would put itself back to the graveyard. So I guess the song ends up making 11. So we'll return the Songs of the Damned. And I can actually cycle 1 more time, or 2 more times because I get to play a land. So let's cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. And the next card was another Songs. So I'll actually cycle the Stinger here because I can. So now we'll play Songs for 14, play a Cabal Ritual, play the Blood Celebrant, and now we'll play Rowan's Grim Search, sacrifice the Vault. I'll take the Dark Ritual. We'll put 3 creatures to the graveyard, so that means that the Songs of the Damned is essentially replacing the cost of the Rowan's Grim Search. So the Rowan's Grim Search was effectively free. And now we'll make 18 mana, and Reaping the Grave's floating 45 mana after it's finished paying the cost. So now we'll return all of our friends home from the graveyard, and then we'll play out some Drannith Stingers and start stinging your opponent to death. Okay, I honestly, I might have skipped a creature in the middle here or there, but it's not going to matter because I'm returning 3 or 4 Drannith Stingers, and I'm going to be able to cycle and deal a ton of damage. So a thing about Cycle Storm is that you're so good at beating Weather the Storm. And it's a reason that I love this deck, is that you're able to play out 3 or 4 Drannith Stingers and effectively just easily beat a Weather the Storm because your opponent might gain 30 or 40 life and you're like, cool, I can cycle all of my creatures a number of times and end up dealing you 130, 120 damage. So Weather the Storm is usually not a problem. Your deck has built-in ways to beat Prismatic Strands. If you're interested in that, check out that last video I uploaded. You'll see it there. But Cycle Storm, I think, is secretly the best Storm deck in the format. It's not High Tide. I know that some people aren't going to like hearing that. But Cycle Storm just has all these wonderful tools built in. The downside is Cycle Storm is weak to graveyard hate. And I'm willing to acknowledge that. But I also think Cycle Storm is just more consistent than something like High Tide. It's just you have to get really skilled in order to beat all of the graveyard hate. And you don't go on a run like I've been on with Cycle Storm without, being able to beat a Relic or a Now Spellbomb or anything like that. So hopefully I get to show you in this league how to beat graveyard hate and all that good stuff. But Cycle Storm is the real deal. All right, so we're facing a deck that likely has Relics, could have Thraben Charm. I think we want some number of Siege Smash. We can board out 1 Cabal Ritual and 1 Rowan's Grim Search. And then the question is, like, do you want 1 Duress or do you want a 3rd Siege Smash? So the Duress could be nice in order to beat something like a Thraben Charm. So you don't have to have double Reaping the Graves or double Song or something like that. You could also board them both and then get rid of the Repository Scob. That's another choice. I think I'll do 1 Duress over 1 Vantasaur. Let's try this. I also have a sideboard guide available over at theepicstorm.com/shop where you can see all of my board plans and things like that. Here I'm not actually following a sideboard plan. This is mostly just gut feeling, but, is what it be. We've opened up Siege Smash, so I think that means I want to keep this hand just so I have a play against a Relic of Progenitus. I'd really like to draw a second land, because these decks can often run things like Revoke Existence or Dust to Dust or Gorilla Shaman. So that is very scary here. Let's cycle the Street Wraith, see if I can draw Baron more. Ding! That was a great draw. Pass the turn. They play a Plains and a Lembas. Okay. So I'm not convinced I'm going to play out this Great Furnace. I want to see what my draw is for the turn or my draw off the cycles before I decide to play this land into the Gorilla Shaman. So let's cycle the healer. Another Lotus Petal. I guess we'll play out the Great Furnace and pass the turn. I need mana. That's our choke point right now. They're going to activate. I will cycle a Monstrous Carabid into Rowan's Grim Search. Okay. Ooh, Dawnbringer Cleric. Okay. So this could remove a creature from the graveyard, like that Street Wraith that cycles for free. Now they attack with the Gorilla Shaman. We will cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands into another Stinger. I think I'm going to just discard a creature here, and we'll pass. I could play out the Lotus Petal. Maybe I should have, and then cycled when they go to destroy it. I could always do that next turn as well. Flint Hawk, so this can pick up the Dawnbringer Cleric. That's a little annoying. They pick up Lembas, interesting. And they replay it. So they're not representing Thraben Charm. And now they play a Novice Inspector. Another Rowan's Grim Search. We'll cycle the Stinger here. 5 creatures in the graveyard. We draw Songs of the Damned. So I could try to win here. Or I could pass. They are tapped out, so I don't have to care about Thraben Charm. My concern is that I'm not exactly high on mana. So I think I'm going to play out a Petal and pass, and then when they go to destroy the Petal, I'll cycle the Stinger, and then next turn we can try to win. So I'm at 14, they're attacking now. I'll take 5 down to 9. They sacrifice the Clue token. And now we'll sacrifice the Petal and cycle the Stinger. We have 6 creatures in the graveyard. Cabal Ritual, that was a great draw. They have land number 2. And another Dawnbringer Cleric, so this can exile a Drannith Stinger. Okay, if we manage to lose this one, I might change my boarding for seeing that they're just on a bunch of Dawnbringer Clerics. Alright, so how do I want to start this? I think I'll play Songs and cycle the Barrenmoor. Another Cabal Ritual, we'll play that. So I think I would like to just cast a Rowan's here for Storm, but I also might draw a land that I could bargain for the next one. So we'll go to 7. And I did draw a land for the next one. Love that. We'll play another Cabal Ritual. And now we'll play Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice the Great Furnace. Get rid of all of these. So 3 creatures to the graveyard. We hit a Songs. That was beautiful. Actually, let's hit cancel. I might want to play another Rowan's here. Sacrifice the Petal. Go to 3. Ooh, that was not what I wanted. Okay. I was hoping for more creatures. So the question is, do I keep this Reaping the Graves or do I get rid of it? I think I get rid of it. 2 lands. Okay, not ideal. I'll cycle the Imposing Vantasaur using the red mana. We'll play Songs of the Damned, and now Reaping the Graves. I'll have 6 mana left, which is not a ton. We don't have any Street Wraiths to return, but we're also at 3 life, which is not a lot. We have 2 Reaping the Graves left. Or, I'm sorry, 2 Songs of the Damned left, but also 2 Reaping the Graves. So we're a little pinched on mana. Dark Ritual. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. And it came up in a tutoring session recently. The Blood Celebrant was decent. Why do I not cycle the Barrenmoor in these situations? Because I'm returning creatures, and creatures can add to song counts. Barrenmoor can't. So I don't want to end up with a bunch of creatures in my hand if I could have cycled creatures over a land. Alright, so now I'm at 2 mana. I can cycle the Street Wraith and go to 1, but then I can't use the Blood Celebrant going forward. But if I cycle the Street Wraith and hit a Cabal Ritual, I can keep going. But if I cycle the Stinger, I pretty much have to hit exactly Songs or a Dark Ritual. I have 2 Songs left. I have 2 Cabal Rituals left. I don't know if I've even seen a Dark Ritual. I've seen 1 Dark Ritual, so I have 3 Dark Rituals left. And I have 2 Lotus Petals. Yeah, this is odd on whether or not I'm supposed to use the Street Wraith here. I think I'm going to. We'll go to 1. And I hit Songs. Okay. Cycle the Stinger, but now I can't use my Blood Celebrant. So we'll play Songs of the Damned. So I need to hit a Lotus Petal now, so that way I can return the Drannith Healer and gain some life. Cycle Vantasaur. We only have 1 Songs of the Damned left in the deck. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Another Siege Smash I don't need. Alright, and now the other Vantasaur. And actually, I just remembered I boarded out a Cabal Ritual. So we only had 1 Cabal Ritual we were drawing towards. And now I'm back at 8 mana, so we're running low. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. There's a healer. Cycle the healer. I need that 4th copy of Songs of the Damned right now. Cycle the Carabid down to 12. Cards left in deck. Cycle the healer. There's a Stinger. We'll cycle the Stinger. I really need that 4th copy of Songs. I cannot cycle the Street Wraith, so now we have to cycle this Baron Mort's the last draw. Lotus Petal. That's not going to do it. Okay, so we did not get this one. Our deck just did not find that last copy of Songs of the Damned. Our next card was Street Wraith, and then another Lotus Petal. So it was in the bottom 6 cards of the deck. Alright, so that hurt. On the play, I could just go back to being a combo deck and saying, like, hey, you have a bunch of tap lands in your deck, I'm not even going to try to beat Relic. That's another choice here. But I feel like that's what I might do. But I could also bring in the basic Swamp against a deck that has Gorilla Shaman and, like, Revoke Existence and Dust to Dust. That's another thing we could do here. I'll try the 1 Swamp over a Vault of Whispers. It makes your Rowan's Grim Search a little worse, but you are insulated or protected from Gorilla Shaman. Or I could board out a Lotus Petal. I think I'm fine boarding out a Lotus Petal too. On the play, I will keep. We have 2 cyclers, 2 lands, so ideally, with a hand like this, you would draw more creatures, and then those creatures would draw Reaping the Graves. Our opponent with a mulligan. Now they've mulliganed to 5. Okay, we'll play Great Furnace and pass. Basic Mountain. End step will cycle Imposing Vantasaur into a Lotus Petal. Not ideal. Ooh, alright, so this is the downside. We really kept this hand on the back of wanting to draw creatures, and we did not draw creatures. They play Alembas. Okay. End step, cycle the Street Wraith. Reaping the Graves. Okay, we need creatures, though. Monstrous Carabid. I'll just play the land and pass. I mean, this is not a terrible spot to be in. It could be better. The Relic here hurts. I would like to cycle Monstrous Carabid in response. Interesting. Part of me is like, should I try to go beat down? I know it seems a little crazy, but I could play out 2 Monstrous Carabids and just start attacking. And if that's the case, I want to burn the Songs of the Damned here and not the Dark Ritual. They're on 5 cards. Okay, Songs of the Damned. And now we'll play Reaping the Graves. So this is actually a downside of something I talked about in the previous video, where the community has decided that Imposing Vantasaur is better than Horror of the Broken Land, so you play 2 Imposing Vantasaurs and only... you play 2 Horror of the Broken Lands and 4 Imposing Vantasaurs. That said, Imposing Vantasaur doesn't beat down against a Relic, or Horror of the Broken Lands might easily win this game. End step will cycle the Vantasaur, trying to draw a Horror of the Broken Land. Stinger is good. Another Vantasaur. Let's cycle the Street Wraith. I would love to draw a land here. Another Street Wraith will go to 14. Another Reaping. Okay. Dark Ritual. And I can't believe I'm doing this. Monstrous Carabid Beatdown. Pass. They Lightning Bolt me. I go to 11. They play a Thraben Inspector. We'll exile Dark Ritual to the Relic. Rowan's Grim Search. We'll start with the free thing, which is attacking here, because the Monstrous Carabid has to attack. And now I'll play a Drannith Stinger, and we'll pass the turn. One of the reasons that the red splash is so much better than the blue splash. So they're going to kill my Stinger here. They have Metalcraft too, so I will cycle the Vantasaur. So this just saved 4 damage at my face. And they'll take 1 down to 15. Redrew a healer. But the ability to cast your Stingers is, like, a lot of people from years ago prefer playing blue because you can play your... Ooh, they have the Galvanic Blast for the Carabid too. Okay, that's interesting. And now they're going to use the Relic. We'll get rid of Reaping the Graves. But the blue splash I don't think offers a whole lot outside of, like, your end step to hottest ploys, because even in this red build, we're still playing Repository Scob. Alright, so they've used 2 Galvanic Blasts. I could still play another Carabid here. Or I can just try to end step Rowans is another option. And then just, like, beating the Relic the old-fashioned way. We have 2 Reaping the Graves left in the deck. I'll play a Lotus Petal and pass. I think I'm leaning more towards the Rowan's line right now than I am beat down with horror. So this attack here puts me to 9. The Rowan's would put me to 7. Radiant Fountain, okay. Dawnbringer Cleric, okay. They exile the Stinger. Alright, end step. We will Rowan's Grim Search, sacrifice the Great Furnace. This puts me to 7. Sacrifice the Great, or exile the Great Furnace to the Relic. We hit Songs and Reaping. I think we're going to be able to beat the Relic here. 8 minutes left on clock. We'll play out the Lotus Petal. Play Cabal Ritual. They let it go. We'll cycle a Monstrous Carabid. Another Rowan's. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. And I think I would like to Songs here. Because I could cycle the healer, but then I have less mana if I need to respond with the Rowan's if they use the Relic. And they are going to use the Relic here. So if I want to win this, we have to Rowan's into another Songs. And there's only 2 Songs left in the deck. This is a very risky play. So if they had waited for the Reaping, we would have been in a much better spot, but they didn't. I mean, alternatively, I could Reaping for 4 and then cycle 2 Street Wraiths. That seems really bad to me. This is a tough call. Alright, we're going to Rowan's. Sacrifice the Vault. We did not hit Songs. We did hit Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual. So we'll do that. And now I can play Dark Ritual, play Cabal Ritual. And then I could Reaping. Reaping would return 7. And then I could cycle 3 times after the Relic before the Songs, so then Songs would only make 3 mana. So I feel like I'm almost better off. Well, I guess I could cycle the Street Wraiths. Maybe this is the better line. There's 2 Songs and 30 cards. I'm at 6 minutes, so I really need to move this. Alright, I'm just gonna start clicking. I don't have time to think through it. Street Wraith, Vantasaur, Vantasaur, Healer, and a Carabid. So we're going to return all of this. Okay. So Relic is now going to exile the graveyard. And now with Songs still on the stack, we'll go to 3 life, cycle Street Wraith. We hit the Songs. No! If I wasn't a coward, this would have been so much easier. That's a bummer. Cycle the Horror. There's Scob. Cycle Vantasaur. Cycle Vantasaur. So now the Songs makes 5. Cycle Healer. Cycle Carabid. Cycle Carabid. Dark Ritual. Cycle the Stinger. Cycle Healer. I can't cycle the Street Wraith. Cycle Healer. There's a Lotus Petal. I need that so that way I can play a healer. So I can't use this for the Scob right now. We'll play the Songs. I still have a land drop. And now I will play Reaping for 11. Return Street Wraiths. Okay. So I'm at 1. 4 minutes left on the clock. Use a white. Play healer. Cycle a horror. 19 cards left in deck. Drew a Great Furnace. Cycle the Vantasaur. I don't have the luxury of playing out a Stinger right now. I just don't have enough mana. So now I'm at 4 life. Cycle Street Wraith because it's effectively 1 life to cycle. I'm at 3. We hit the last Songs. Cycle a Monstrous Carabid. Cycle Street Wraith. 3 minutes 50 seconds left. Cycle a healer. I need the Blood Celebrant, and I just drew it. Okay. So, feeling much better about this. We'll cycle the Street Wraith. Puts me to 1. Cycle the Vantasaur. We'll play the Great Furnace. Cycle Monstrous Carabid using a red. And now I can play Songs of the Damned. Makes 11. We'll play the Blood Celebrant. Make a blue. We'll play the Blood Celebrant. Sacrifice the Scob. Return the Songs. I'm at 3. We'll play a Stinger going down to 2. We should have this. Now we'll go down to 1. We'll play another Stinger. Cycle a healer. Okay, so they'll take 2 and we'll gain 1. I can now play Songs of the Damned. 13 mana. Cycle. They go to 13 off this. And I can actually play another Stinger here. I probably should have done that. Alright, so I'll play a 3rd Stinger. Cycle Barrenmore. I'm not even sure if I need to Reaping, because I might just draw into another Cycler, and then we don't need to. 2 minutes left on the clock. Cycle. So now they take 3. Cycle. I felt like I navigated this well. I got a little unlucky that I played around not drawing the songs and then it was my top card, but I think I made the right choice there. And now we'll play Cabal Ritual because I can. Cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. So nice Relic of Progenitus plus Dawnbringer Cleric deck. Boom! We beat a Relic in match number 1, no siege match even needed. We're now 1-0. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. For round number 2, we're on the draw, and I will keep. We have lands and cyclers. Mountain, okay. We'll play the Vault of Whispers and pass. In a tutoring session I did recently, I've actually done like 3 of them over the last like month or so in regards to specifically Pauper Cycle Storm. I had one person that was like, you always play Barrymore on turn 1, and I don't think that's true. There's a number of games, like if I cycle this turn and then draw another land, there's a real chance that I will cycle Barrymore this game because it is a cycler. If I don't draw the land, I'm happy to play it out, but I'd rather leave open the possibility of cycling it away in case I draw lands. Okay, so I think I'd like to cycle 1 Lotus Petal here, going down to 14, and there's a land. Okay, so we'll pass the turn. Lava Dart, I'm at 13. So right now, we look like we have a decent amount of mana, but what I need is a Reaping the Graves. And also maybe, you know, some more mana. We'll take 1 down to 12. They have 3 open mana. Gutter Snipe. Okay, so this turns Lava Dart into 3 damage, and then it turns Fire Blast into 6. So they're representing 9 damage while being tapped out. So we'll cycle the Stinger. Drew Dark Ritual. So I get to cycle 1 Street Wraith here free. Or I can cycle the... Or I can play the Rowan's Grim Search. And I feel like it's actually better to play Rowan's Grim Search than it is to cycle the Street Wraith. We'll play out a Lotus Petal. Play out a Lotus Petal. Let's play Dark Ritual. And I would like to sacrifice Petal for a white and a blue. Let's play Cabal Ritual. So now I have Threshold. And we'll cast Rowan's Grim Search. Bargain away Great Furnace. This puts me to 10. So I can't lose much more life, or else we're dead. I'm pretty sure I have to take the songs here, even though we need a Reaping the Graves. Dark Ritual. Really need that Reaping the Graves. Cycle the Barrymore. Cycle Barrymore. Alright, I don't have a choice at this point. Like, if they have Fire Blast, I'm dead. I have to cycle the Street Wraith. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. And we hit. So now I'll play Cabal Ritual. Play Songs of the Damned, and Reaping the Graves. So this should return everything. So we've seen 1 Songs of the Damned. We're a little over a third of the way through our library. I'll play out the Healer. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. They could Lava Dart here, and I can just cycle into response. We go up to 9. Cycle a Monstrous Carabid. Oh, they can't... Well, they could Lava Dart me. Lava Dart, I'm sorry. The Gutter Snipe would deal 2 to me, and the Lava Dart does 1. So Lava Dart's not even good here. For some reason, I was thinking that they could kill the Healer. That's not true. We'll cycle Street Wraith. I was getting a little confused for a second. We had another Songs. That's wonderful. So now I need another Reaping the Graves. We'll cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. Play our land for turn. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. I'll use a red here because I had the Blood Celebrant online at this point. Cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. Up to 7 creatures back in the graveyard. I'll use the blue mana. We'll cycle the Healer. 30 cards left in deck. So we've seen 50% of our deck and only 1 Reaping the Graves. There's still 3 Rowan's Grim Search, a Repository Scop, and 3 Reaping in the bottom half of our deck. Cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. We'll cycle the Imposing Vantasaur again. 28 cards. Redraw land. Cycle the Stinger. Come on, deck. Pretty please. Reaping the Graves. There we go. Now we'll cycle the Stinger. Songs of the Damned. We've got it at this point. Turn 3 win against Mono Red Burn. Yeah, I love to see it. So this is Reaping the Graves for Storm 14. There's only 12 creatures in our graveyard, so this will return everything. And both last match and this one, you're seeing me use Drannith Healer to gain life. A lot of people really don't like playing out Drannith Healer to gain life, and they'd rather play something like the Hottest Ploy. But I'd rather leverage the thing that's already built into my deck than play a card dedicated to gaining life. And I'm not trying to make fun of those people that are like, oh, I like the Hottest Ploy. Like, I played in my sideboard specifically for this matchup. But I don't think that it's a card that I want to play in my main deck because I'm afraid to play out a Drannith Healer. Like, that just feels a little silly to me, if I'm being honest. So now we're going to cycle and just easily win. There's the repository scob. Okay, just keep cycling. Another thing is, people seem to really enjoy the second that they can cast the Drannith Stinger to play it and start cycling. As you saw this game, I was down to my very last cycle when I hit my Reaping the Graves. It's not worth it trying to eke out every point of damage. I think you're better off making sure you don't fizzle by not drawing what you need than trying to eke out every point of damage you can. Because eking out all the damage I found is not necessarily a winning strategy where you'll eventually win. Like, that's how this deck works. It's like you'll eventually make enough mana that you can ping your opponent for however much you want. And making sure you have all the cycles you need to hit that Songs of the Damned or Reaping the Graves, I think is just more meaningful. And the final cycle. Wow, we finished above 20 life against Burn? That's crazy. Just crazy. Alright, so it's time to sideboard. I like to bring in the Hottest Ploys, and then we'll end up taking out one Rowan's Grim Search and the Repository Scob. So why am I not bringing in Siege Smash against the deck with Relic of Progenitus? Well, I understand wanting the relics, or wanting the Siege Smash for Relic, I really do. But I've played enough of this matchup to understand that this card causes you to fizzle too often, and they're a mono red deck that has no cantrips. So if they open on Relic, on like a 7-card hand with turn 1 Relic, you're probably not winning. Or you need to wait for a window where they feel comfortable and they tap out, and then you play a Rowan's Grim Search on the end step, you untap, you cast all your spells and win the game. I've just found that Siege Smash ends up not being good enough, where it's not good. Like, you don't want to draw it unless like they open on turn 1 Relic and you open on 2 lands plus the Smash. It's just not good. So I've decided I don't want to play this card, and I'd rather just do what my deck does well. On the draw for game number 2, we've opened up, honestly, close to an ideal hand. This hand is very good. We will keep. Let's see what the opponent keeps, though. They kept a 7 very quickly. No turn 1 Relic. I like that. We'll play a Great Furnace and pass. So I'd like to hide the Vault of Whispers, because the red deck does have Artifact Destruction. I've seen Gorilla Shaman, I've seen Smash to Smithereens, and I've seen Raise. And if they're going to raise me, I'd rather them destroy a Great Furnace than my Black Source. We don't need red mana to win initially. We do need black mana to play Songs of the Damned or Dark Ritual. They discard a Fiery Temper and a Lava Dart, but they don't have the mana for the Fiery Temper. And now they played their second land, so they lost 3 points of damage there. On the end step, we'll cycle that Monstrous Carabid. Another Reaping the Graves. I will now play out the Vault of Whispers. I don't love this, but if I cycle the Stinger off red, and then I don't draw another cycler that cycles for black, I am doing myself a disservice, because I can't use this Vault of Whispers. So I'd rather have the ability to cycle something than to hide that mana. I'm now at 14 life. They have 4 cards in their hand. They also have a Lava Dart in the graveyard. Kessig Flame Breather. Okay. Let's cycle the Drannith Stinger. There's a healer. We'll cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. I want to use that black mana here. We drew another Great Furnace. A third Reaping the Graves. Alright, so there's the chance that I die if I pass. But I think I'm supposed to pass the turn. I'm just not ready to win yet. I would have loved to have gone off on turn 3. But we have 4 cyclers, and the Songs of the Damned only makes 4 mana. So I just don't think that's enough. So I'll go to 13. They have the Lava Dart. So even if they go like land, bolt, that's not lethal with the Lava Dart. If they go like land, double bolt, Fire Blast, Lava Dart, it's lethal. And now they're going to main phase Lightning Bolt me. I don't know if I agree with that, but they can do what they want. End step, we'll cycle the healer, cycle Barrenmore. Still 4 creatures in the graveyard. The Rowan's Grim Search would put me to 6. Vault of Whispers was actually a good draw because now I can play the Rowan's pre-Songs of the Damned. Let's do it. This puts me to 6. Ooh, we hit Ploy. So I can eventually jumpstart that Ploy. So we'll take the Lotus Petal and the Dark Ritual. That was secretly very good. Okay, so now we'll play Dark Ritual, play out the Lotus Petal, and then I think I'd like to cycle the Barrenmore, just to see if I can hit like a Cabal Ritual. Another Songs, we'll take it. So we'll play Songs, and now Reaping the Graves. This is going to return all 5 creatures. Alright, so we have 3 black floating. I don't have a ton of mana to cycle here, because eventually I'll have to play the Songs. Like, in fact, this cycle here, if my draw isn't exactly Dark Ritual, I have to play the Songs. So now we have to play Songs for 5. It's a non-negotiable. So at this point, I could play the Rowans, digging for like another Songs or something, but I'd be putting my life total to the point where Fire Blast could kill me, and I don't want to do that. So instead, we're just going to keep cycling. Cycle again. Ay, ay, ay. So I can jumpstart the Ploy right now, which would leave exactly 1 black mana floating. So if I drew exactly Songs of the Damned or Dark Ritual, I could keep on doing something. Or I can take a draw and then acknowledge that I'm probably passing the turn. And I feel like that's probably the better thing to do here, because I don't think I'm likely to keep winning when I only have 2 Songs left in my deck. So we'll cycle the healer. Cabal Ritual? I'll take a Dark Ritual. And now we'll return the Monstrous Carabid. And we hit Songs. Let's go. Alright, so we will now Dahada's Ploy, discard Vault of Whispers. So this is going to gain some amount of life. If I discard the Horror, it actually gives me an extra mana for the Songs. So I think that's the move. So now I'm up to 15. So Songs Reaping would be leave me with 4 mana, which isn't a ton. I only have 1 Songs left in the deck, and I sided out the what is it called? Repository Scob. So 7 creatures in the top 50% of my deck because I'm at 31 cards. Not super great odds. We'll play the Rowan's Grim Search. Cabal Ritual. Okay, and we put 2 Stingers to the graveyard. We'll play the Cabal Ritual. Cycle the Vantasaur. Cycle Monstrous Carabid. Street Wraith down to 11. Running a little thin here. Cycling the Monstrous, or cycling Imposing Vantasaur. Healer. So now I have no, like, I only have the 3 mana, so Reaping the Graves isn't even that great here. Dark Ritual. Cycle Barrenmore. Dark Ritual. Okay. I need that 4th Songs if we want to win this turn. All that life that I gained with the Ploy, I mean, I'm already back down to 11. Okay, so Street Wraith first. I think I've only drawn the 1 Cabal Ritual, so I think we still have 3 Cabal Rituals left in our deck too. And there's only 20 cards remaining. But Barrenmore was not a good draw. We'll cycle Imposing Vantasaur. 2 black floating. We hit a Cabal Ritual. Okay, that's good. Cycle the Carabid. Blood Celebrant. Not a terrible draw, but not what we need right now. Because I just need more mana. Another Cabal Ritual is great, and we actually hit it. So this helps me dig deeper for that final Songs, which is ultimately what we really want. Cycle the Stinger. Cycle Monstrous Carabid. 15 cards remain. We hit the other Cabal Ritual, so that's all 4 Cabal Rituals. So I don't know how many Dark Ritual we have left. I see 2 right here, 1 right there. Oh, we've used all 4 Dark Ritual. So basically, I need Songs to be in the top 5 cards in my deck at this point. The other Ploy. I could stop and just Ploy. I could stop and Ploy and pass the turn. So I could play Blood Celebrant, I could cast the Ploy and just pass. Cycle the Street Wraith. Is that crazy to just stop and Ploy? I don't think it is. I think that's the move. I'm going to go up to like 40-something life, and then I can try to win after that. And there's a chance that I'd even draw the Songs off the Ploy, too. It would just make less mana because I'm returning a bunch of creatures right now. So we'll play the Blood Celebrant, and I'll make a blue. Play the Dahada's Ploy. 1 black floating. So basically, this is a hedge in case that Songs of the Damned is on the bottom parts of my deck. And we would have drawn 2 creatures. So I will discard an Imposing Vantasaur here. We're at 31. We'll cycle a Dinosaur, I guess. We'll Lotus Petal. And now we're going to have to pass the turn. I could have kept the Lotus Petal for Storm, but I don't know if that's even a good idea. Because I'm going to be able to make Storm with the Reaping the Graves, I think. Okay, pass. They attack for 2. I'll go to 9. I'm sorry, I'll go to 29. 2 mana here. Smash the Smithereens on the Great Furnace. Yep, you got it. They could Lava Dart the Blood Celebrant if they so choose. And it looks like they're going to. That's fine. I'm at 24. Rowan's Grim Search. We'll cycle the Drannith Healer. I'm glad that I ended up taking the past the turn line. And we drew songs. Okay. We'll play Healer for Storm. Actually, is that what I want to do? I don't need more life. We'll play Rowan's Grim Search without the bargain. So this will draw me to 4 cards left in deck. We'll play Lotus Petal. Cycle Street Wraith. This brings me down to 3 cards. We'll Jumpstart the Ploy. This will bring me down to 1 card left in deck. We'll discard the Vault of Whispers. And now I'll get rid of Barrenmore. Play the Lotus Petal. Turn off Auto Yields. Play Stinger. Reaping the Graves. We'll return Blood Celebrant, Street Wraith, Stinger, Street Wraith, Stinger, Stinger. 9 mana plus a Lotus Petal. That's what we're working with here. They're at 20. So if I play a Stinger, so then I need 10 cycles here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 of them don't cost mana. So I think that's deterministic right there. So I'd use 4 mana. I could then Reaping the Graves all the Stingers back. Or all the Street Wraiths back. Yeah, that's just lethal. How does it change if I play out the Blood Celebrant into another Stinger first? Because I'd be going down to 5, cycle twice, that's 15. That's still lethal. Let's do that. And I think my bottom card is actually another Street Wraith. So 5 mana floating. We'll cycle Street Wraith. Auto yield to the damage triggers, but not the draws, because we're at 0 cards in deck. Alright, so now we're going to win with no library. Basically, you're letting the damage trigger of Street Wraith resolve, and then you're never letting the draw happen. So we're able to cycle once here, and now we'll cycle 1 more time. And actually, I guess we don't even need the Reaping the Graves. We can just win with the final cycle. Okay, well I could have Reaping the Graves, but this is just faster. And that's the match win. We're now 2-0, beating Mono Red. So first we beat Boros with Relic of Progenitus and, you know, all that good stuff. Now we just beat Mono Red Burn. Traditionally, a lot of people consider this to be a bad matchup, but we just made it look easy. That was really cool. Hopefully we get the next 3. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Match number 3 on the play with Cycle Storm. Sure, we'll keep this. So this is one of those hands where sometimes people will be like, oh, you only have 1 cycle or mulligan. That's not how this deck operates. Like, I don't think just because a hand has 1 cycler, it's instantly a mulligan. Because of the fact that we have Rowan's Grim Search, this card is like a superpower, honestly, and you might not believe me, but it is. Like, this card can fill up your graveyard so quickly, and I think people just undervalue it. Our opponent plays a basic forest and 2 Utopia Sprawl, so this is likely Ponza, or Red-Green Ramp. They name green. So my concern here would be that I don't get to the point where I can actually play Rowan's Grim Search. So ideally, they don't have a turn 2 way to kill a land, and then on turn 3 I can Rowan's Grim Search. They have a basic mountain, 3 mana, for an Eldrazi Repurposer. The list that play land destruction effects usually don't play the Repurposer, so I'm hoping they don't have it. We draw Street Wraith, play the Great Furnace, pass the turn. I now feel a little more confident in this first game. So this could be a turn 3 I'm blanking on the name of it. The green initiative creature, Avenging Hunter. There we go. Because they could play a land, sacrifice the Eldrazi spawn into Avenging Hunter. I'll be honest with you, like, Cycle Storm is becoming one of my favorite decks. Like, for a while, I think I would have ranked my favorite decks as like, ooh, it is turn 3 Avenging Hunter. That's cool. Like, the Epic Storm, CDH Rogsai, Cycle Storm, and there's been other decks that I've really loved underneath that. But I think at this point, Cycle Storm is above CDH Rogsai, and it's getting pretty close to TES. Like, I just love all of the micro decisions you have with this deck, and how every game is sort of similar with the fact that, like, oh, you play Dark Ritual, you play Cabal Ritual, you play Songs of the Damned and the Reaping the Grapes. But I think people that think that way don't see the beauty of the deck, with how every minor decision you make impacts how the game plays out so much. And I think all of those micro decisions are why my win rate with the deck is so high compared to people that are like, oh, it can never beat a graveyard hate card. And I just disagree with those opinions personally, but those individuals are welcome to their opinion. I'll take the Lotus Petal here. I thought about putting it to the graveyard because we really need mana, but the Lotus Petal could be well, we drew the land, so it's not going to be what I wanted it to be, but it could have been a way to bargain the Rowan's Grim Search, plus have a mana open for rituals. We'll cycle the Street Wraith. And at this point, we're really digging for like a Cabal Ritual or Songs of the Damned, something like that. We'll play the Rowan's Grim Search, get rid of the Great Furnace. We hit a Cabal Ritual. The question is, am I supposed to take the other Rowans? I think the answer is yes. We'll have to bargain away the Lotus Petal, though. So now we'll play Cabal Ritual. So this is going to dig at least 6 cards deep. Alright. We did not hit Songs. That's problematic. So I could take double Dark Ritual and then cycle the Stingers, but that's effectively the same thing as getting rid of the Dark Rituals. So out of my cards in hand, I need the Cyclers to hit like Reaping the Graves plus Songs of the Damned. I think I just have to get rid of all of this. I can't afford to keep it. And we bricked. So I can cycle a Vantasaur. This needs to hit like a Songs here. It didn't. We'll cycle Stinger. Alright. I'm down to... No, actually, I guess, hypothetically, if this Stinger hits Songs, I could play Celebrant, play Repository Scob, get back the Rowans as a bad divination. So we'll cycle the Stinger. And we bricked. So we did not have a single Songs or Reaping the Graves in the top 50% of our library. That's how you lose with this deck sometimes, is sometimes the random generator is not on your side. Okay, so this is a matchup where they often have Relic of Progenitus in the sideboard, so you do need the Siege Smashes. The question is how many? I think 2 is a good number. I'll get rid of the Rowan's Grim Search and 1 Cycler, I think. I like having more mana in the deck versus a deck that could destroy my lands. And I like leaving in the Repository Scob, because if they have Weather the Storm, you really need it to beat Weather the Storm. Sure, we'll try this. A little disappointed we just completely missed in the top 50% of the deck in game 1, but that's Magic. Like, you're not always going to hit every out you need. Play the Great Furnace, pass the turn. Basic Forest into Utopia Sprawl. They name green. We'll cycle the Monstrous Carabid. We had Vault of Whispers, okay. And Reaping the Graves. So now we need more cycling creatures. I'd also take a Rowan's Grim Search. That would be a very good draw. They have land number 2. Another Utopia Sprawl. Tons of mana. They name red this time. And Eldrazi Repurposer. Hopefully we draw a creature. We don't. I think I'm going to untap and just draw. Brutal. Okay. That hurts. So now they have 6 mana. So this could be a boarding party. It's an Avenging Hunter. So they'll attack for 3, I'll go to 15. Next turn they attack for 8, I'll be at 7. So a boarding party would not be lethal next... Oh no, hold on. It would be lethal next turn. Boarding party would be lethal, because the initiative puts 2+1/+1 counters here. That's terrifying. This was the downside, is I just needed to draw creatures, and Repository Scob is not a cycler. I think I just have to untap and draw. Cycle Monstrous Carabid. Not a creature. Okay. Well, I think we have to do something. So we're going to Dark Ritual, play Lotus Petal, play Lotus Petal. What to do? I feel like just pretending they don't have boarding party is kind of insane. But I also don't think I actually have the resources to win here because I don't have Threshold. So I could just Reaping the Graves pass. And then next turn they'd attack for 10, putting me to 5. I could cycle the Street Wraith down to 3. But if they have boarding party, I just lose. I can't beat that card. So I could alternatively sacrifice the Lotus Petal for blue, and then Cabal Ritual as a bad Desperate Ritual, Cabal Ritual Reaping for 3. But I would need insane hits off of 3 draws to keep going. I don't think it's possible to actually win this game if I go all in right now. So instead I'm going to just, I think I have to pretend that they don't have it. We'll cycle the Carabid, pass the turn. So we drew 3 cyclers in the top 25% of our deck this game. It's not very probable, but it does happen. The Repository Scob in theory could have been an Imposing Vantasaur that I sideboarded out, but I like Scob in this matchup due to Weather the Storm. They play land number 3, Wild Growth, 3 cards remain, and Annoyed Altasaur. It's Avenging Hunter. This is exact lethal. Wow. Wow. They hit the Avenging Hunter off of the Cascade that will send them into the trap on the initiative to deal me exact damage. Yeah, sometimes your opponent has it. I'll cycle the Street Wraith. Let's see what my next card was. Siege Smash. So if I had gone for it last turn, we would have fizzled. Bomber. Okay, sometimes in Magic you lose. We don't get the 20-0. But right now we're 2-1. Let's just go get the next 2. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. Let's try to bounce back in the 4th match. We are on the play. Yeah, this seems fine. A little bit of a bummer that our deck sort of just did opposite things games 1 and 2 last round. First game we couldn't find Reaping the Graves or Songs of the Damned. The second game we couldn't find creatures. You know, Magic is a game of variance, and sometimes you lose, but an important thing that I've learned over the years is you shouldn't let your losses bother you, or else it will affect your next matches, especially in large tournaments, where the goal is to top 8 or to win or whatever. And ultimately, meaningless matches on Magic Online, like, who cares? It looks like they're on mono white. And in the grand scheme of things, like, this league doesn't really matter. Would I like to 5-0? Sure. But it's not going to affect my day. And I just think that, you know, keeping a cool head, thinking about the options that you have will get you a lot further than getting upset that, you know, sometimes your deck hits its natural fail rate or something like that. They attack with the Novice Inspector. Vault of Whispers, wasn't expecting that. I thought it was mono white. Refurbished Familiar. I will cycle the Drannith Stinger. Cycle the Street Wraith. Interesting. We'll get rid of the Great Furnace. I think I'm going to try to win on my turn. We drew a land. We'll play Dark Ritual. Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice the Vault of Whispers. We had 1 songs and 1 creature. I was hoping for more creatures there, but the songs is okay. We'll cycle the Stinger, so now we have 6 creatures in the graveyard. Play the Vault of Whispers. And I think I'm going to cycle the Stinger here and then use the Lotus Petal to play the first songs. So now we'll play songs, cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. Again. Ooh, we hit another Rowan's. I like that. Sacrifice the Great Furnace. We'll take double Lotus Petal for Storm purposes, because right now we're low on Storm. We have plenty of creatures in the graveyard, but we actually just need more Storm. So I'll play the songs, and now I can return 9 of the 10 creatures. So 1 creature has to stay back. We have a bunch of Stingers in here, so I think I might just try to win. Okay, so we have 10 mana. I can play 2 Stingers. That would bring me down to 6 mana. And then we have, so I need to draw like a Dark Ritual or something somewhere in there, but I think that's fine. Like, our deck has mana in it. I have 3 Dark Rituals. I have 4 Cabal Rituals remaining. I think it's okay to just cycle here. Another possibility is that I draw into more copies of Street Wraith and that I wouldn't need, more rituals. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Could also draw into more copies of Songs of the Damned. Dark Ritual is wonderful. Cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. Dark Ritual again. So now we just need more cyclers. Another Horror of the Broken Lands. Okay. Another Street Wraith. So everything went well this game compared to last round where everything went poorly. But, c'est la vie. It happens. And I'm just happy to get this one. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. Cycle the Drannith Stinger. And that's game number 1. A good old-fashioned turn 3. Alright, so we're facing a deck that's black and white. So it could have anything from Relic of Progenitus to Thraben Charm to Bazooka Bog. What should you do? Well, Duress beats Thraben Charm, but it doesn't really beat the others, especially when you're on the draw. Honestly, I kind of feel like you're not supposed to sideboard, and you're just supposed to be the best combo deck you can. If you lose game 2, hopefully you find out what hate they have, and then you can plan for it for game 3. So I'm going to do no changes on the draw. Okay, so this hand is great. We're going to keep, and I know that a few rounds ago I said I don't love always playing Barrymore out first. This is a hand where I feel like it's the exception. We're in a post-board game. Our opponent could have Revoke Existence or Dust to Dust or something like that. And I want the ability to cast Rowan's Grim Search. So in theory, I could play a turn 1 Barrymore, turn 2 Vault of Whispers, Lotus Petal, and pass. They let on a basic swamp, so no Dust to Dust. We'll play that Barrymore, send it back to them. And now they have an Orzhov Basilica, sure. We'll play the Vault of Whispers. I'm not feeling like I need to play out the Petal here. I think I'm just going to cycle a few times on the end step. They play an Ancient Den, so we know that they still have basic swamp in their hand. Duress. So they could take the Rowans here, unfortunately. Okay. I think they rather take the Songs than the Rowan's Grim Search, but we'll see what they do. And they did end up discarding the Songs of the Damned. We will cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. We did not draw land number 3. Not yet, at least. We could here. I'll cycle 1 Imposing Vantasaur, and we did hit the land. I will pass the turn. So if they want to Bazooka Bog me for 3 creatures, it's not the end of the world. Do I want to get hit by Bazooka Bog? Absolutely not. But it's not the worst thing that could happen. Our first copy of Reaping is good. And I think I'm going to pass here. Because they're just holding open Thraben Charm. We're looking for a window. Or I can end step Rowans. That's another thing I could do here. 5 mana. Ooh, you're going to tap out? Oh, friend. Oh, friend, what were you thinking? Well, I suppose you have the initiative, but I'm going to try to murder you. Rowan's Grim Search. We could take an extra Reaping or the Street Wraith. I think I just want the Grim Search. So that way I can dig for another Songs. Cabal Ritual. We now have Threshold, by the way. We'll play Dark Ritual. I'm sorry, Cabal Ritual. Cabal Ritual with Threshold again. We'll play the Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice. Get rid of all of these. We don't need that. Alright, so no mana. We'll cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. Dark Ritual. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. Street Wraith. We'll cycle that down to 14 life. Cycle the Stinger. Lotus Petal. Play the other Lotus Petal. Cycle a Healer. Dark Ritual. So we're below 50% of our deck at this point. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. Play out a Lotus Petal. Cycle the Healer. Cycle Horror of the Broken Lands. Cycle Monstrous Carabid. Cycle the Healer. Cabal Ritual, okay. So 3 Songs in the bottom 24. So this is a Reaping for 10. Target a Healer. And now we want to return Street Wraith first. And this is a spot where it actually matters because mana is a choke point. So it just gives us more opportunities to draw into Cabal Rituals or Songs of the Damned. Alright, so we have 2 Street Wraiths. I'll just start by cycling those. No luck. Cycle a Horror of the Broken Lands. Not looking good. Cycle. Oh my. Our final cycle. If it's not here, we lose. Okay, one more. Womp womp. So we don't necessarily lose. Like, I get to pass the turn and then, you know, probably lose, but bummer. There's a lot of cards to not hit as Songs of the Damned. We'll play out the Blood Celebrant, move to cleanup, discard a Barrenmore, and Great Furnace. We also did not hit the Repository Scob either. We did hit 3 of the 4 Cabal Rituals, so they get to attack. I'll now go to 3 life, and we can't beat a Thraben Charm. So if they have that, we just lose. And Repository Scob, just too late. Cycle of Vantasaur, and there's the songs. So we'll play the songs. If they have the charm, they have the charm. And they do. Okay, so we lose. I mean, we didn't really lose to the charm here. We lost to our deck just, like, not cooperating. And not seeing any relics and only seeing charms. You could board in the duress. I think that would be fine. You could also just resubmit. I think I'll board in a couple copies of duress. Bring in the swamp. And this is a slower matchup, so I'm actually okay with boarding down on Lotus Petals. Like, we'll bring in the swamp, cut 1 Lotus Petal because we have Blood Celebrant, and then maybe shave like 1 Cycler or 1 Cabal Ritual. I think 1 Cabal Ritual is probably okay. On the play for game 3. Wonderful. Keep. Opponent with a mulligan to 5. We'll play Great Furnace, pass. Plains into Thraben Inspector, okay. We'll cycle the Vantasaur. Street Wraith. So far, so good. Another Stinger, okay. They swing, ouch. Vault of Whispers. Lone Missionary. Okay, so they'll go up to 24. End step, cycle the Carabid. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Okay, we could in theory try to win here. And wow, Songs was a very good draw. Let's start by cycling the Street Wraith and seeing what our draw is. Another land. Play Dark Ritual. We'll cycle a Stinger. This gets us 1 card short of Threshold. And why it matters is that if I can keep open double red, it's easier to win without going big. I'll cycle a Carabid here in case I draw Dark Ritual, and I don't. So I'll have to tap a red mana. We'll play the Cabal Ritual. Cycle Stinger. We drew Blood Celebrant. Play the songs. Play Blood Celebrant. And now we're reaping for 5. So we probably don't have enough resources to try to win here anyway. But I'll return Street Wraith, Stinger, Carabid, and a Vantasaur. Cycle the Street Wraith. Cycle Stinger. Land. Cycle. Another Lotus Petal. Cycle the Vantasaur. Cycle Healer. Cycle Vantasaur. Song. So this next one would have to hit. Cycle the Stinger. Petal. Cycle the Barrenmore. We just bricked. Okay, pass the turn. So here a Thraben Charm would be tough, but it's more because our deck didn't draw anything. They attack. I mean, we'll block the Lone Missionary. 2 mana. Refurbish Familiar. We'll get rid of the Swamp. Come on, Rowan's Grim Search. We'll cycle Barrenmore. Cycle a Stinger. Okay, so you're saying there's a chance. Play Songs of the Dam for 11. Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice Great Furnace. We'll take another Rowan's Grim Search and Cabal Ritual. We need the mana. Cabal Ritual and Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice Vault of Whispers. We'll take Rowan's Grim Search, putting 3 creatures to the graveyard. Another Cabal Ritual. Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice Vault of Whispers. Songs of the Damned plus Reaping the Grave. So that's probably the match win. Okay, we'll play Lotus Petal, play Lotus Petal, play Songs of the Damned. Storm is going to be 10. And this should get the job done. And now we'll return everyone home. We have 22 available mana. We should be able to play out 3 Stingers and then start cycling. Play the Stinger, play Stinger, and Stinger. Okay, and now we just cycle. Our opponent just said GG's opponent. We had some good banter in the chat as well, so I always appreciate that. Cycle. And the Vantasaur. They're at 15 now. Cycle the Vantasaur, they'll go to 12. Okay, so there's 1 match left to go. Let's just go get that and finish with a strong 4-1 finish. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? The final round, we are on the play. Sure, I mean, I don't love double tap land that doesn't work with my Rowan's Grim Search, but it's still a keep. And before you're like, oh, well, what if you just didn't play Barrymore? What if you ran more artifact lands? It's something you're allowed to do, but you'd be increasing your fizzle rate, and I don't know why we would want to do that. Because Barrymore cycling is actually very helpful. They play an island into Delver of Secrets. Okay. I don't know if I love this hand in the matchup, but we'll try to make it work. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Play Barrymore. Pass the turn. The Songs of the Damned was not a bad draw. Delver of Secrets. They upkeep Brainstorm to help guarantee its ability to flip. And they reveal a Lorien Revealed. So that should be able to get them land number 3. And now they swing for 3. I'll go to 17. Cycle a Drannith Healer, looking for that land number 3 ourselves. The third Rowan's Grim Search is not a good draw. Would love a land here. We missed. We have to pass. They did not cycle the Lorien Revealed. Interesting. Okay. Now they attack for 3. We'll go to 14. Another creature. We'll cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. And cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Now they cycle the Lorien Revealed. It's possible they wanted both cards off the top of their deck with the Brainstorm. Oof. No land 3 again. We'll get rid of a Rowan's Grim Search. And step they Brainstorm. And now a Mental Note getting rid of 2 islands. Discard the Rowan's Grim Search. They play land number 4. And attack for 3. We draw another healer. We'll cycle. Dark Ritual. Cycle the Stinger. Cycle Street Wraith brings me down to 9. So that takes a full turn off my clock here. And it's Blood Celebrant. I think I'm going to just discard maybe a Rowan's here. And step another Mental Note. They play land number 5. Cryptic Serpent. So we need to do something now. Dark Ritual. Let's play Dark Ritual. Hopefully it resolves. It does. Okay, so now we'll play another Dark Ritual. What about a Cabal Ritual? Am I allowed to have that? Counter spell, okay. What about this Cabal Ritual? How about a Songs of the Damned? We'll play Blood Celebrant and Reaping the Graves. Storm is 8. Street Wraith first and then some other cards. So I am not in a spot where I'm ready to win. So just throwing that out there, like I can't just start casting a Stinger and pinging. It would not be a wise choice. Cycle the Stinger. I'm at 4. Another Reaping. That's good. Cycle Healer. Repository Scob. That was actually very good. So now we'll cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. So if I cycle one more time, I cannot... I give up my ability to Repository Scob. That said, I still have a bunch of creatures I'm returning here, so it's not like the Songs of the Damned would even be good. So cycle... I guess I still have a land drop, so I could cycle again here and still Repository Scob. So if I... Let's check out the songs. 11. So I would lose to a Spell Pierce, but I feel like I probably lose to a Spell Pierce no matter what here. Unless I cycle into like exactly more mana off the next draw. So I think we just let all of this resolve. And if they had a Spell Pierce, why didn't they go after the Dark Ritual to start the turn? Okay, so the Reaping the Graves resolve. I'll now play the Great Furnace. We'll make a blue. Repository Scob. Exploit. Get back the Songs of the Damned. And now we'll play it. Songs on the stack. We make 8 mana. So that resolved. I'm going to play a healer here. I go to 2. So this allows me to gain a little bit of life, so that way I can use the Rowan's Grim Search to dig for more mana. So now I'm at 3. We'll play a Lotus Petal. Rowan's Grim Search. Sacrifice the Great Furnace. We'll take 2 Dark Rituals. Alright, play those. So now we're at over 50% of our deck, and we've seen 1 Songs of the Damned. We just keep cycling. And there it is. So I believe we've won game number 1 versus Mono Blue Terror. Although I have to say, it doesn't seem like they had a very good hand. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding what their hand is. But the fact that they only had a single counterspell, it just seems off to me. Okay, so I've selected all of my creatures in the graveyard. We're going to return them all now. And it's important to remember your life total. Sometimes people forget. They're like, oh, I have all this mana, I can do whatever I want. That's not exactly true. Your life total is a resource, and sometimes you run out of that resource, especially when you're using Blood Celebrant and cycling Street Wraith. So it's always important to remember what your life total actually is. So we'll play 1 Stinger to start, and then I'll go to 2, play another Stinger, and now we'll go to 1, play a 3rd Stinger. And why I mention this is, and it's definitely happened here on this YouTube channel before, is I've started just talking, and I forget what I'm doing, and then I cycle a Street Wraith when I'm at 2 life. There's a very easy way to lose a match, especially when you have other cyclers. So just pay attention, I guess is my point here. It's a very basic thing, but sometimes you end up messing up, and I don't want you to mess up. So just pay attention to that life total. Remember, Drannith Healer gains life, all that good stuff. Cycle the Carabid. So I know in the most recent BNR update, they talked about length of like a player's turn in regards to High Tide. And I've definitely, like our match number 1, I finished with 2 minutes on the clock compared to our opponent's 19. I will say, when I am not in front of a camera, it's so much easier to play faster when I'm not narrating every play. And that is relevant. So now we get to bring in our Chitin Gravestalkers, which are amazing in this matchup. I love those. We take out the Repository Scob. You cut 2 copies of Rowan's Grim Search. You can get rid of the Blood Celebrant, 2 copies of Cabal Ritual, and 1 Cycler. So you might be saying, okay, well, if this is the game plan, honestly, I might like the Swamp over... No, because we're bringing in the Chitin Gravestalkers, so I will submit this. Why would you board out Blood Celebrant? Like, don't you need that in order to win with, you know, Drannith Stingers and stuff? No, not really. Like, does it make the job easier? Sure. But you do have 4 copies of Lotus Petal. An alternative to that is you could just play 3 or 4 copies of Chitin Gravestalker and pass the turn, or a couple copies of Horror of the Broken Lands and just attack. Like, you don't actually need red mana to win. So keep that in mind. This is fine. Keep. Island pass, okay. We'll play Vault of Whispers, send it back. They cycle a Lorien Revealed. I've seen some versions of this deck that like sideboard into like a bunch of boomerangs and like Steel Sabotage and stuff like that. So I always second guess myself. I'm like, oh, should I be like playing out a Lotus Petal or something? I think the answer is usually no, but it's just something to think about. All right, so we've drawn a lot of mana here. I actually need cyclers. So this is a spot where you could play out the Baron more, but I actually need to draw cards. So I'm going to say, no, I'd rather cycle this Baron more than play it as a land. They Mental Note, gets rid of Counterspell and Tolarian Terror. I would consider that to be a pretty big win for me. Land number 3. They thought about tapping mana and then decided against it. Vault of Whispers, we'll play that out and just pass. And now they Brainstorm. Ooh, no end-step Mental Note or Thought Scour. They play land number 4. And Delver of Secrets. Okay. So that would be a reason not to Thought Scour or Mental Note. Because with the Brainstorm, they could have stacked their next card to flip the Delver. And we have not hit creatures. Alright, well there's one. Cycle. And cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. We'll play out a Lotus Petal. Pass the turn. Ooh, you did not stack your Brainstorm to flip your Delver. That's not good play. Okay, I'm not trying to make fun of my opponent here. It's just, ideally, you'd want to plan that in order to flip your Delver. Like, if you know your Brainstorm locked, take advantage of it. We drew another land. I think I'm going to just pass. Like, I could try to Reaping the Graves here. That said, why? I'm not under any pressure. I could wait until I draw more mana or draw more creatures. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm at 19. Like, I'd rather just play a little bit better. So we know that they have a Dispel now, and they have 5 mana open. But I don't think that's the end of the world. Monstrous Carabid, we'll cycle that. So now we have 5 creatures, that's good. Another Dark Ritual, we'll play out the Lotus Petal. And pass. Another thing we could do, hypothetically, is end step play some Dark Rituals, especially if they start casting spells. Like if they go like Ponder Brainstorm, Thought Scour me. They had a Reaping the Graves. That's interesting. I don't know why they would do that, but interesting. In theory, we could try to like just Reaping into whatever. And now they play Ponder, so they're naturally building up a Storm count. I could tried to take advantage of that. I honestly don't know why they thought Scoured Me. That seems real odd. Cryptic Serpent? Okay, I think I'm going to kill you, friend. We'll cycle the Street Wraith down to 11. Like, even if it's Dispel, Dispel, I'm pretty sure I can win through whatever they have. Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual! We'll play Songs of the Damned. 7 mana. I would like to respond with another Songs of the Damned. That one resolves. Okay. So now we will Reaping the Graves. And this will return every creature in the graveyard. Street Wraith, Stinger, plus some other stuff. And now we can cycle, and I can always Pyroblast this Dispel, but ideally I'd find another Pyroblast, and then no matter what, this Songs resolves. Because you're able to cycle and then protect your Songs of the Damned. And they might have like a Hydroblast for my Pyroblast, that's another possibility. We'll play Cabal Ritual, plenty of mana. Cycle the Stinger. One thing that I find in these blue matchups is that people get very antsy. They're like, I'm playing a combo deck, I have to jam. Or my opponent has 3 open blue mana. Next turn they'll have 4. I need to win now. No, you don't. You can sit there, you can take your draws, look for your window, that sort of thing. I find that in general, in a lot of my tutoring sessions, I just tell people to be patient. Like, their biggest thing is they're never patient enough. They're always like, oh my god, I gotta win right now. No, you don't. Just be level-headed, make good decisions. Like, that's all you really have to do. Cycle the Monstrous Carabid. The 4th Lotus Petal. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Another Chitin Gravestalker. Cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Healer. Horror of the Broken Lands. 5 black floating, 4 now. Dark Ritual. Cycle Healer. And another Healer. Street Wraith down to 5. And the final cycle off this Reaping the Graves. So I was hoping to draw another Pyroblast. We could still play just the one and hope that it resolves. But I don't love that as much. Let's cycle this Carabid as well. Rowan's Grim Search. Okay, so we'll try Pyroblast here. Target the Dispel. Now we can see if this Songs resolves. It looks like they do have the Hydroblast. And now we'll play Rowan's Grim Search down to 3. Sacrifice a Vault of Whispers, digging for Pyroblast. We did not hit one. We did hit a buttload of mana, though. Songs of the Damned, Cabal Ritual, and Reaping the Graves, I guess. I could always draw into another Pyroblast. 16 cards left in the deck, and there's 2 Pyroblasts. Okay, so we'll cycle an Imposing Vantasaur. There's a Stinger. We'll cycle that. Cycle the Barrymore. I know earlier in the video I said I don't like to cycle when I'm like low on resources. I'm not low on resources here. It's a little different. We will counter the Hydroblast. And now we just get to keep cycling. Cycle the Healer. I'm not going to cycle Street Wraiths when I'm at 3. That does not seem like a good idea. Cycle another Healer. Cycle the Horror. 10 cards left in deck. Not casting Rowan's Grim Search. Cycle Healer. Another Gravestalker. Cycle the Horror. We won't cycle that. Cycle Healer. The 4th Gravestalker. Cycle Vantasaur. Street Wraith. Cycle the Vantasaur. I believe we have another Songs. I think we've drawn 3. I could be wrong about that. Cycle Stinger. Another Reaping. Alright, so I have 3 cards left in my deck at this point. And there's the final song. So we'll play that. And let's just let everything resolve. Let's quit wasting time and just end this. And now Songs of the Damned makes 14 mana. We started the turn with that, and now it's coming back. You love to see it. Full circle. And now we're going to play out 4 Chitin Gravestalkers just because we can. Well, there's 3. I don't know where the 4th one went. It's here somewhere. There it is. So we'll play our land for turn. Let's play the 4th Gravestalker. We'll play a Stinger. And another Stinger. Okay, and now Reaping the Graves. A little bummed. I'm not going to lie. A little bummed our deck fizzled against Gruul Ramp. But sometimes that happens in Magic. Like, you don't win because your deck didn't function. And that's not a knock on the deck. That's just built into the game engine. Like, if you want to play a game with no variance in it, why are we all not playing chess? Right? Like, Magic is a game where John Finkel or Paulo Vitor Damaderosa could lose to a kid at an LGS. Because Paulo or John Finkel mulliganed to 3, never saw a land, whatever. That is a possibility. And if you want to win all the time with no variance. Like, Magic is not the game you should be playing. It's just the reality of it. So I don't mind losing. Like, it happens. Would I like to not have lost? Sure. Like, no one loves losing. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is that, like, it happens. Is there a lag or something? It wouldn't let me cycle this Carabid. Let's try that again. Auto yield to the trigger. And we're not even going to draw those final 2 cards. We do not need them. Just 4 Carabids, 4 Chitin Gravestalkers, and 3 Stingers hanging out. Just best buds. 3 damage at a time. Our opponent now goes to 5. Cycle some healers. And the opponent concedes. So we got the 4-1. I mean, still, I would not change the deck list. I know that it's the same deck list that I've gone 5-0 with 3 times, including the video. But I think, honestly, this is just the best 75 there is for this deck right now. And I don't want to sound too arrogant, like there's no room for improvement, but tell me something that would be better. Because I've tried so many different things, and this is ultimately the best thing that I found. So we didn't get to use the Chitin Gravestalkers to beat down, but it was a possibility. Like, we ended up having a Storm game post-board, but beating blue decks, honestly, not as tough as people make it out to be. People often comment, like, how do you beat fairies? It's, well, you be patient. You're patient, you wait for your windows, you play the matchup a bunch to learn it. How do you beat Graveyard Hate? Well, you can have double Songs of the Damned or double Reaping the Graves. You could have Siege Smash, even though that didn't happen in this video. How do you beat Weather the Storm? You have Blood Celebrant and Repository Scops who can deal 120. How do you beat Prismatic Strands? You have Drannith Stinger and Horror of the Broken Lands with that end-step trick I featured in the last video. So this deck is capable of doing so much, and I think that's why it's secretly better than High Tide. I really do believe that. And if you saw the Pauper BNR update, I mean, it was a part of the larger BNR update, and that is Banned and Restricted announcement. They talk about how Cycle Storm actually had a higher win rate than High Tide, and I think that the deck is actually just better. I like the High Tide deck, but I love Cycle Storm, and it's just so powerful. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening to my madman rants and a little bit of preachiness. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. There's no better way to support our channel. If you're interested in elevating your combo game, visit theepicstorm.com/tutoring for details about our coaching sessions. Don't worry, there's more great combo content coming right up.